All right, welcome back to Solana Smoke. So thank you so much, Florian, for joining me today. So we have a very special guest. The CEO from Onchain Labs is joining today's conversation. So we'll do the usual format. Start with a very short watch along. Today we'll be watching a video from Solana Floor, and then the format will go on as usual. So welcome to the show, Florian. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm great, and I'm looking forward to watching a video with you.
Yes, fantastic. So we'll take some time later on to talk about Onchain Labs. Just when I was researching you, and correct me if I'm wrong, I would call it like the Shopify for RWA in a in an easy way. Like you basically help companies make sure they can tokenize all sorts of assets in a very friendly way. So would you say it's a fair statement?
It's actually a great statement, and you know what? We spoke about that just last week because we never really had those like we're the so and so of that industry. But I think it's a great way to describe what somebody is trying to build because people want to associate it with something that they know. And last week, we were in a conversation, I forgot who it was, and they basically said that they feel like, in RWA, there's like different types of products, and there is the Amazon type model where they build a platform and then everybody else has to come and list it on there and sell it through them because Amazon is providing like the marketplace, right? So you bring your assets on there and you sell them through a given marketplace with a given format and like the standards that they like to use. And then there is the Shopify of the world where it's the opposite, where you use the platform, you use Shopify's technology to build what you want and create your own brand and create something a lot more custom. But obviously, you'll have to work a lot harder because Shopify is not bringing any distribution to you. Like they don't do the marketing for you, and they don't have a funnel of bringing in buyers because there's recommended products or like similar type of products or what other people like. So it's two very different models. And I definitely think that in the RWA space, there is more Shopify models needed rather than Amazon because a lot of the commodities are very different. And also the way you target your investors or your potential buyers, they're very different as well. And therefore, I believe that the Shopify model has better chances of success. Hence why I quite like to be compared to that.
Yeah, I think it's fair. And I mean, like you said, every project really needs its brand to breathe, and you want to be able to, customize that experience. I've noted, for example, when you guys work with Zysky, I think it's like this branded experience is really Shopify like, whereas Amazon is just like same formats and everything. For me, like Ondo is really like where you just put your stuff there. Will branded like this, and basically everyone remembers Ondo, which is good maybe, but in your direction, I feel it's way more authentic, and brands are taking a very, like we see it from personal brands, but as well even smaller brands. It's very important to be branded, have your authenticity. I think we're just talking about it before the show, and so that's I think it's a great direction you guys are going, and like you said, it's not done yet. So you might just be the pioneers, the precursors for that.
Yeah,
So
we're
before
definitely
we
going.
jump, yeah, no, 100%. I mean, this is the in the space, like I say it a lot on the show. It's all about builders, especially now that the market's kind of down. So like we need all these builders, and builders need tools, and so I think that's why you're positioning yourself right in the perfect spot.
Exactly.
All right, so let's jump on the video. So today's video will be, like I mentioned, from Solana Smoke. So we have our usual suspects for just to introduce you to the speakers today. So we've got Jack and Thomas. So these guys are working for Solana Solana Floor, not Solana Smoke yet. Uh, and today they're interviewing Serafim Xeker, who just recently actually joined the Solana Foundation, and it's quite curious because the name he likes to give himself, like the title, is head of taking risk. So usually we have head of risk, but no, in that case, is head of taking risk. And so now basically the intro just started, and they're basically asking him where does he see kind of Solana fitting in the whole ecosystem. So whenever you want to stop me, Florian, to give a comment, just yell or whatever, and I'll pause the video. All right?
Sounds good. I'll do that.
Fantastic. And I got so hooked up into talking to you, I forgot to present the cigar of the day. So Florian won't be smoking with me today, but I'm having my usual custom cigars from Gran Canaria. So it's gonna be my partner in crime today.
Amazing.
All right, let's get going.
Just looking.
Yeah, I'm glad you
To
stopped.
pause right here because
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think it's exactly what we were just talking about, no? Like brands and products being kind of away from crypto. So yeah, what's your take?
I actually totally agree because a lot of the crypto platforms so far focused on the crypto investors side of things. So like they're creating products and they're creating platforms that target people that are already in crypto, which means it's a limited space, right? There's only so many of us who actually operate within crypto, and then it creates that dynamic of money that just rotates around from one place to another, which also means we can never really grow. And what we want to do is grow the pie, right? So that there's more to go around. And that's why, yeah, like I totally agree. Like the Solana Foundation believes that we need to pull in revenue from outside, like how Hyperliquid is doing. And we actually have the exact same thesis. So we keep saying that we want to make it possible for RWA to grow beyond Web3, which is why we're building a wallet that doesn't feel like a crypto wallet. It feels like just a regular, a platform that has an account, an online account, because we all know what it's like to create a profile on a website and then maybe even have credits in there. And that's nothing else than a wallet, right? And so this is what we aim to do. So in RWA, we don't confine ourselves to that bubble within crypto, but we can actually then expand the bubble and grow it. And yeah, bring in more outside revenues. And I don't know if I really agree that the price of Solana itself will really decouple. It would take a lot for Solana to really, decouple because it's such a huge coin. Like there's so much liquidity needed for it to significantly move. But maybe in like a really long-term kind of view, I could see what they're saying, that then it really behaves more like a company stock that reacts to what Solana does as a ecosystem and less in terms of what the rest of the market is doing. But I mean, you're always going to have correlation. I mean, we have that even now. If you look at tech stocks, they correlate too. So it will never really get a full decoupling. I don't think so.
No, I don't think we need it neither. And to jump back on your point, I think what you guys are doing of kind of trying to bring Web 2 back to Web 3 and not trying to pull everyone into Web 3. I think that was a theme that was maybe a couple of years back, very something that a lot of people were trying to do, but I don't think anyone really managed to do. Now I feel the theme is more kind of every time we hear about institutionalization, trying to bring institutions on chain. So like you say, growing the pie that way. And as well, the other theme, I mean, it's tokenization. Like everyone talks about it. Like, so I think it's a very great space you guys are on. From a kind of a technical point of view, are you chain agnostic as well at Onchain Labs?
Yeah, we're super chain agnostic. We actually don't think that there's really like one chain that will, survive or be like the winning chain. At the end of the day, it depends on the use case. It depends on what you're actually deploying to whom. It also depends on the complexity because some chains cater better towards certain technological tools that you wanna deploy. So yeah, from our perspective, we want to support everybody, and at the end of the day, it doesn't make sense to say, oh, we're only Ethereum or we're only Solana, or whatever exotic chains they are, because there's lots of them out there. There are advantages to a lot of those.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it fits perfectly with you saying, we want to be the Shopify of tokenization in Web3. Ultimately, you want to give kind of your clients the say of what chain they want to be on. And there always be new chains as well popping up. But ultimately, I think it's a great approach. All right, let's see what else our team Solana Floor has to say. I mean, on the show, we've talked a lot about the SpaceX IPO, and I mean, there's all different angles we can talk about it. But what's your take on tokenizing IPO and stocks? Do you see the value of it? Yeah, I'm just curious.
I actually love it. I think it's like a different type of prediction market because having a tokenized IPO, especially if you already tokenized the pre-IPO phase, it gives you a lot of insights into the kind of dynamics that you're likely going to see post-IPO. And obviously, there's different, powers at play because post-IPO, you're also going to have a lot of institutions that will move crazy volumes. But you could argue that like a lot of these kind of activities are priced in your pre-IPO tokenized version. So yeah, I think it's great. I think it's really really exciting to see those kind of things popping up. And yeah, in my view, I literally compare them like prediction markets.
Yeah, we had the talk actually with Ross back in another podcast where we thought, why didn't they do like kind of two different IPO? You know, like an off-chain IPO and an on-chain IPO. It's been a question I've been asking the guests. So I would be curious, what would be your take on that position?
Huh. I guess it depends on how you define an on-chain IPO, because at the end of the day, you IPO and whether that's on or off-chain almost shouldn't matter, right? Because at the end of the day, you're gonna have your tokenized stocks and you have your traditional stocks. So yeah, but maybe we're gonna see IPOs that focus on like being on-chain first, rather than being a
Hmm.
traditional IPO on a stock exchange. Maybe that could be something that's gonna happen that, I'm not listing on the Nasdaq, I'm just listing on chain and I'm IPOing on chain.
That's the thing, because I mean, what happened in a lot of kind of crypto cases was that a lot of exchanges had kind of promised, shares allocations of kind of the on-chain stock, but ended up having none. And so there was this kind of group in crypto saying, well, you promised us all of this. We've kind of locked our funds into your exchange, and now you're not delivering. So we just thought, okay, well, if you basically allocate straight from the company IPOing a portion that goes directly for the chain, you would basically, avoid exchanges and just be the issuer directly and not having to go through third parties.
Actually, you're right, and that's probably a scary thought for Ondo. Like speaking of Ondo that we mentioned before, because right now the model of Ondo is that they have got like a monopoly almost on tokenized stocks. But if there
Mhm.
is more direct ways for companies to directly to go on chain, then you don't need that middleman anymore. And yeah, it could be a good thing, because then it makes the whole system more open.
Yeah, but I mean, you know more than I do. Like, there's a lot of complexity into tokenizing stuff, and I think this is why on-chain labs ultimately exist, no, to make it very easy for any kind of asset to be tokenized.
Totally, and I mean, it also depends a lot on the type of assets that you are tokenizing. I think stocks in particular is probably one of the more complex ones, hence why it makes sense for a small set of companies to specialize in that. We're not specializing in stocks; it's not the niche that we want to go in, um, and it's probably going to stay like that for a while. That you can't just um, take your own stock and put it on chain. You'd always have to have some kind of platform that facilitates that for you. We actually have a platform here in Switzerland where we are that is doing a pretty decent job at creating a really efficient platform for you to tokenize your own stock. But then the next question is distribution, right? And that's where Ondo comes really strong. They have a lot of partnerships and they make it possible then for your stock to get to places, because if I tokenize my company stock right now, I can put it on my website and people can buy it, but it's not like people go to my website to buy my stock, right? So there's nobody waiting there for that to happen. Versus if you know a platform that can distribute it to people that are looking for opportunities to invest in, that's always going to be a really strong USP for any tokenization platform.
Mhm. Yeah, they really track the distribution and sort as well the liquidity. So that's why I think they still have a lot of good days ahead of them. And I think they're taking the headache as well of the regulation, which oftentimes just companies don't wanna get into, So it just makes sense. All right, let's go a little bit more, and then we'll be off the watch along? I always found those questions very funny, like asking when it's gonna happen, and then no one has any clue. Like we did my birthday last weekend, and someone was just coming to me. It's like, Max, when is Bitcoin going back up and everything? Like God knows, like I don't even know why it's down. So like it's so yeah. What's your view on this?
I mean, anyone who works in this space gets confronted with that question. And we all have our own way of answering it because we do want to give an answer, right? But we all don't know how to answer it. It's actually quite an interesting common challenge that we all have. And I think my best answer is usually the typical blue chip DCA kind of strategy. Like if you're interested in it, the best thing you can do is just keep buying a little bit every month of the top three tokens. And obviously Solana will be in there as well. Because I don't know what's gonna happen, and I definitely am never gonna recommend anyone to buy anything beyond, Ethereum, Solana, and Bitcoin. Because who knows what's with any of the other coins ever gonna happen. If somebody wants me to be like super risky in my answer, I'll tell them buy more Solana than anything else because I do believe Solana in the bigger picture has a lot more upside compared to say Bitcoin, Ethereum. But that's purely a mathematical question. Like if you look at the market cap, there is a higher chance that you get a bit more of a multiple out of Solana compared to Bitcoin if the market goes up together. Because simply it takes a lot more for Bitcoin to have, say, a 10% move versus Solana can make a 10% move with less capital involved. And so that's purely a mathematical question. That's why I would give that answer. Yeah, but I think it's the nature of the game, right? We all love the idea of making money. We want to figure out how do we best make money? Where do we invest? And give me the secret sauce. So yeah.
Yeah, 100%. But I like your approach, and it's something that I personally do as well, and I recommend. You just DCA through ups and lows, and if overall you believe that the technology, the industry is going somewhere where it's just getting bigger, then ultimately I think it's fair to say. Of course, for YouTube and the lawyers out there, this is a non-financial advice, and we're just here for entertainment purposes. But yes.
100%.
Cool. All right, let's give them a last shot, and then I have plenty of questions for you. Interesting take. I mean, these guys, I mean, Solana Floor interviewers, of course, are big on Solana, and he's from the Solana Foundation. So you have to, again, put up with the brand and make sure to keep the hopes of everyone up. But yeah, hopefully, I mean,
Yeah,
I would
look, and
love
it's
to.
actually it's a good answer. I think it's not bad how he went about this because it's correct. Like the bear market always it shakes everybody out, and it will start going up again when everybody gave up. And like I already saw headlines coming out in Europe saying, crypto is a bad idea, never buy crypto, it's just gonna burn you. And like that's the stuff we want to see because the worse it gets out there and the more people just shit on crypto in general, the more we know we're close to the bottom. And I think we're getting to that zone now where it's not going to be much longer. It's a few more months that we have to hold through. And, we'll see some bumps and ups and downs along the way. But I think we're close. And the other thing, there's actually a couple of things that they said there that I found very interesting. So first of all, is that there's not many people left. And yeah, that's also the nature of the bear market, right? People focus elsewhere. A lot of the money has gone to AI. Crypto actually became boring. And, it's always like, oh yeah, this thing didn't really work. And then he mentioned how, with that, you also have then the filtering out of the bad projects. So if we think about the thing at the beginning about that bubble or the pie that we have, if there is
Yeah.
the same amount of capital available, well, it's probably not because a lot of it got also lost along the way. But let's say if there is capital to be allocated, it will get allocated to those projects that actually still make sense and that somehow generate revenue. So those who manage to survive the bear market, they will have better chances to recover. And yeah, obviously Solana there has a good spot because they built a really strong brand. Like I'm not a Solana maxi by all means, but at the same time, I do respect a lot the way they built this and also the kind of niche that they built for themselves with the chain and with the projects they attract in there. But the challenge for them is going to be how do they kind of get out of the meme coin kind of chain and broaden into other areas. And I know they've made an effort to get into RWA as well because everybody knows that this is really where it's going to be. And So you also has now tokenized stocks on Solana as well for obvious reasons, because they know if they need trading volumes, that's where they gotta go. So yeah, no, I think it was a great answer that he gave there. And also the insights on, fewer people engaging on X, fewer people being around for investments, and there's a lot less retail attention like on the crypto space in general. I think actually we've probably missed that, like since the I don't know, the NFT time, in 2020, 21, around that time, we didn't really have the proper retail bull case again. And something's gotta happen, whether it's prediction markets or maybe it's gonna be tokenized pre-IPOs or some kind of use case will draw that back in and generate a whole other hype wave that I'm gonna be super excited to watch from the outside.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the now I just stopped the video because I think we had a good intro, but the numbers they're actually showing us later is that actually, like you were saying, 85% of on-chain activity for tokenized stock is happening on Solana. So like they're very, very happy with these numbers, and I think they like to brand themselves as the internet capital market, and I think this is really what they're achieving it in terms of activity, in terms of brand awareness. They've got being able to IPO the biggest stock that ever IPO'd and have it on chain directly. I think that just was perfectly for them. And I mean, I don't know if the Elon Musk kind of vibe helped, of course, the whole thing, but yeah, that was very for me. I mean, you see it in the name of the show. Like I'm kind of a Solana maxi, so for me, it is kind of the answer. Bitcoin was a revelation, like the eye opening. Ethereum was kind of we're getting there, but for me, Solana is really the place for the builders to be. The community around it is great, and just the fact that it's cheap and fast, I think it really does help all sorts of projects. Because if you have a very tiny project, very localized, it will work. And if you have a very big project, very global, it'll work the same thing. Everyone wants cheap and fast. So I think they're going in the right direction. So yeah, I was looking on your website, and so couple of brands appeared, and I would love to take your take. I mean, we had we were talking, of course, tokenizing stocks. And then one of your client, Denaria, is tokenizing gold. Yeah, tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so gold really is a topic I'm the most excited about, because when you think about RWAs, gold is a product a lot of people already understand and already buy. So that's where we said as a business we want to go. We want to be in a space where we're selling something that people know what they're buying, they understand the underlying product, but also it's something people feel very passionate about, and that a lot of people, for their own reasons, have been buying for a long time. And tokenized gold, I get questions from people that are like, oh, I can just go to the bank and buy a gold ETF. And I say, yeah, of course you can, but how do you know that you really have gold? Because the bank has got paper gold. And, at the end of the day, if you ever want to take the real gold with you, you can't go to your bank and ask for it to get paid out. But with RWA projects, they all have some kind of redemption process where if you actually decide you're going to change your mind, you want to, carry the physical gold with you, or you're moving somewhere and you want to just be able to make sure you can have your wealth with you. With tokenized gold, you can do that unless you're buying something that you didn't check. Like if you buy RWAs, the first thing you should always look at is obviously, what's the redemption for? Like, what do I really own? Do I actually own something that I can really get, or do I just own some kind of SPV certificate where now I have part of a stock of a company that owns the underlying asset and I don't have a direct claim? Like, it's something that is not that easy to find out, but with AI, it's actually pretty efficient. Like nowadays, people should use AI when they make their research, because then you can ask your AI, if I buy this token, read the white paper for me, tell me the dynamics, tell me the pitfalls, tell me how I can redeem. All those questions are so easy to answer now with AI. You don't have to read the whole white paper by yourself. Even AI will do it for you. And I think this will differentiate a lot of the good from the bad RWA projects in the long run. And also it's going to filter out those platforms that don't actually do a proper job, like RWA tokenization platforms that don't really care about how they structure things. They will ultimately then miss out on liquidity, and the use cases will walk away from them. And yeah, we had Denario as one of our first partners actually working with us. They're also Swiss-based. They have a really, really interesting concept where they're tokenizing gold here in Switzerland. and you can get it paid out to you. You can literally walk up to their office and get your gold physically if you wanted to. And the other advantage that they have is that they're tokenizing gold granulates, and gold granulate is not classified the same way as gold bars, because gold bars are precious metals, and precious metals have got certain compliance restrictions and certain conditions of what can happen to it. Versus the gold granulates, they're considered industrial material, and therefore they're not exactly the same when it comes to what happens with compliance. Versus the actual material is the same, right? It's still gold. It's the same quality and it's the same value. It's just classified differently from a government perspective. And I think they were really smart with the approach they took there, which is why we were fascinated to work with them.
Yeah, a couple of points now to kind of jump back. The first thing, I think the Denaria approach is very smart, and it's very kind of crypto thinking, no? Like ultimately crypto is arbitraging something. Either you're arbitraging the jurisdictions you're launching your token in, or just basically the classification of your assets. So that's very interesting. And the second bit was when you were talking before, where the way it's being done now with pre-IPO stocks is usually, like you say, we're calling it something, but ultimately you don't own it. It's maybe you're owning a share of SPV that has the debt of the actual company that maybe has a future contract with it. And so making sure that you're actually getting the real deal is crucial. And I mean, it's kind of going back to the ethos of blockchain at its base. The idea was transparency and traceability. And this is really, the purest form of it. Not only you know what you're having, but you're having it in a shape and form that you're not taking the risk of having the gold in your pocket or under your mattress, but you have access to it whenever you want. So
Yeah, totally.
very,
I actually have
very
another
smart way.
example. I have one that goes even further. We're currently working with a gold trading business in Italy, and they have physical stores. So their approach is even more, let's say, user-friendly or customer-friendly, because they're going to have multiple points of redemption. So once you buy the token from them, you don't have to go to some office in one country where you have to, travel to make an appointment, whatever. They're literally going to have branches distributed across several countries, and any branch will accept your token to be exchanged into the underlying physical asset. And I think that blend where you literally gonna merge, the physical world and the physical trading stores with the digital world and tokens, that is gonna be super, super interesting.
And I think this is where really RWA takes its whole meaning, like it's real world asset, like something physical that you can touch. I think we had the NFT vibe where we're like, yeah, this is art and you can own it, but you can never touch it. Whereas in here, it's kind of the V2 and I always like the fact that yeah, you're owning it on chain, you have access to it whenever you want. But when you actually want it in a safe and secure space, well, leave it on chain, leave it as a token, just don't lose your seed phrase, and then you're good to go basically. So yeah, very interesting approach. And I mean, they can do it with literally anything. I remember I did my thesis on blockchain technology and luxury goods, and you had it for wines, you had it for olive oil, watches. So I hope that now this project can take a kind of a new life with the new technology that we have, and people are just more aware that this technology exists and that they just actually put it in place and not just use blockchain as a marketing tool, but way more advanced and using it for traceability and the rest of it.
I think one thing you mentioned just before is worth discussing too, is the seed phrase discussion. It's one that we have a lot in our team because we very much believe in the decentralized ethos. I personally consider myself a cypherpunk kind of person. When I first used the blockchain back in 2017, I didn't feel like I was early because, I'd already felt kind of late at that point, but at the same time, it was early if you look back now.
Same here.
It was such a revelation when I had my first transactions done, and you just know you own that money. Like it's really yours. No one else can touch it. No one else can stop it. No one else can take it. It's all just yours. And that kind of feeling, that was life-changing for me. And so I really believe, self-custody and the importance of keeping your seed phrase secure and all of that. But at the same time, I'm producing a consumer product here, and I can see how many people struggle with this. Like, it's so hard when people don't understand what this is for, and they lose the keys, they don't take care of it, they don't do their due diligence, they don't do their homework. It's extremely hard. And so for that purposes, we actually really love MPC technology because it allows us to still store the keys in a decentralized manner, but at the same time, we can assist the user with the safekeeping of the keys. I'm not saying like we're obviously not keeping any keys, we're not a custodian, but with MPC technology, you can make keys recoverable for people because you split it up into multiple pieces and then store it into independent locations so that you can then recover it by putting them back together. So that's been a huge game changer for us because it allows us to stay in the decentralized architecture without compromising on the UX. And I think the UX really is what we have to work on a lot, and the UX is our number one focus because if we don't get the UX right, especially say for a gold token, if I want to sell you a gold token because you like gold, I can't expect you to learn about crypto and learn about MetaMask and how it all works to back up your seed phrases and why. And so therefore, if we can build that all into UX that feels seamless and feels easy to use, but it still leverages the blockchain technology, that is like the holy grail of what we want to go towards.
100%. So do you think that in 5 years, no one will talk about blockchain anymore, but we'll just be using it? That's the
Yeah,
goal, right?
absolutely. I think that's the whole thing, right? The blockchain should be in the background. It should enable things. It should make things possible, but no one needs to know how. Like the lame example that we hear a lot is about the internet. No one knows how the
Mhm.
HTTPS protocol works, right? We just type
I was
in an
gonna
address and we
say.
get there. But it literally is like that. It's the same with let's say why I can send you a WhatsApp message. You know, I type in the message that he'd send, it gets to you, and I don't actually care what happens. I don't have to encrypt any seed phrases for me to be able to message you. And yeah, I'm 100% convinced that the blockchain is moving into that direction where a lot of those challenges will get abstracted away.
Yeah, I think it just refers back to what you were saying about the pie getting bigger. Whenever we manage to fix that UX problem, and we'll be able to onboard, the Web2 users basically, and then you'll give them something that they understand. You give them gold, you give them a UX that they're familiar with, and then they'll see all the other benefits of easy redemption, lower cost, easy to transfer. I mean, when we're talking about the seed phrase, it's a sentence my wife always tells me, like, whenever I go on a business trip, I'm like, yeah, but if you don't come back, like, how do I get your crypto? And, it's something that you don't think about. It's like, yeah, I have to explain you how it works. And then I'm like, okay, maybe I'm going to split my seed phrase between, different location. Maybe you put one in the bank, another bank in the vault or whatever. But yeah, I haven't fixed it yet. So
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
Onchain
There's
Labs.
actually, I mean, obviously there's the manual way, like you just said, you just, back it up somewhere and have instructions for her how to, go about recovering it. I don't remember the names, but I remember us as a team looking at some providers that actually have these kind of like, almost like life insurance type products where when you
Mhm.
die, they keep keys for you and then they help the people that are the beneficiaries of your estate to recover the assets. So there's some really interesting solutions out there for those. But obviously it's still edge cases, right? Like for me, it's much more about I want this to be general usage. Like it's not just when I die, but I need an easy solution to access my crypto every day. And
Yeah.
it still needs to improve. And that's been the mission that we've been working on for the last 2 years. And it's been super fascinating. Like I've learned a lot about technology that's available. The tech has moved too. Like we've seen upgrades to a lot of the blockchains to enable things like gas sponsoring, which is a big game changer. Like if you think about not too many years ago, we still had to go and buy gas fees and send them to our wallet so that we can formate something. Like those things, they're a thing of the past because now you can gas sponsor and then all of that is no longer necessary. And there's many little things like that that have to all add up and come together, and then the UX is going to be much better.
Yeah, you just need to remove friction. And I guess because we're so deep in the trenches, like for us, it's okay to, have to swap to get some coin and gas for a transaction. But for the usual user, like you've already lost them. It's like, I have to buy something before I can get something that I want to buy. Like, you're just losing them. So yeah, little things that we don't realize. And I think you were mentioning AI beforehand. Like, do you guys use it a lot of work? Is it helping you develop new project? Is it kind of opening you, giving you new ideas?
We use it a lot in literally every aspect of our business. It helps us with research, it helps us with automation, it helps me with, a lot of tasks. Like last week, I was on a fairly complex trip into a jurisdiction I've never been, meeting people I've never met. And so with AI, it's so easy to get a briefing, get yourself some notes on the people you're meeting, what their purposes are, why you should talk to them, what you should talk to them about. It's like simple and small things like that through to you can have automated processes. If you want like a weekly competitive analysis, you can have that dropped into your Slack channel by AI every Monday mornings, what's been happening with other competitors or with other industries. And then obviously the whole coding, the way we develop as a business has changed a lot. The way our CTO works has changed a lot. And also the way we engage with our customers, because we expect our customers to use AI as well. And I think that also makes a difference, right? So when everybody is using it, then you can all move faster, you can be more efficient, and you can pull together documents. And I know that they produce them with AI, and then that means I'll use my AI to then, sanitize it or wrap it all up into what I need it to be. And I think it's a really, really fascinating world, and all the way through to our products. So on our platform on Engage, we use AI to build workflows. So like if you want to build a workflow as our customer, you can literally prompt it and tell it, I want to be notified every time a user does X, and then it will build that workflow for you. You just prompt the workflow you want. And we can even tokenize based on prompts. Like if you want to build a certain token, it's actually not that hard to build a AI-based workflow where I can describe the kind of token I want, and then the AI will essentially craft the smart contracts you need and prepare a lot of the configurations that you need. So, yeah, I think the tech side of things, it really is changing a lot, and it's also changing a lot the way we interact with platforms, and therefore we'll see more and more of that.
Yeah, 100%. So like, when I'm listening to you, like using Onchain Lab is like using, Pump.fun, where people were just creating token, but now they're basically using you guys mixed with AI to create tokenized real world assets directly on chain. I think I mean, we live in a crazy, crazy world. Like, I, we're just not limited anymore.
No, and
And
that's still so little, right? Because it's just creating code. It's not hard for AI to create code. I think a
no,
lot
exactly.
more intense is if then you also have a trading bot that will interact with these assets, and the bots will interact with other bots, and it's all gonna be like the agentic finance kind of space. I think that's where, to me, it's still like, whoa, this is hard to grasp. Just the coding side of things there. Actually, the challenge is much more. You have to also figure out how to prompt securely, right? Because
Yes.
when you prompt it to create a platform, it will create whatever you want, and it will look. But whether it's also going to be secure and actually adhere to certain standards, it can only do that if you know how to prompt it to do that. And that's where the engineers still make a difference, because they know what they need to prompt for the platform to also actually survive and not just look good from the outside.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many elements. I mean, we had a conversation with Joe from Nefos a couple of episodes back, and we're already talking about agents getting their own wallet. They're gonna need their identity. I mean, it's a whole sort of new as well opportunities and businesses that are gonna pop up, and it's very exciting. So, do you guys? I mean, I know you're working tokenization. You work with wallets as well. So this is for you daily bread. Like this is the question you're asking yourself every morning, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course. We're also, wondering how do we make sure that our wallet can also be part of that agentic world where agents are going to use the funds from the users, and how transactions happen when it's a KYC agent that acts on behalf of a real person. That's a whole different type of RWA when the real world asset is a human and not just an asset. So yeah, I'm super excited for that future where these things all become possible. I think we're still not quite there yet. There's a lot of hurdles, a lot of questions that are still to be answered, and there are a lot of people trying to solve that. And yeah, we're definitely here for it.
Yeah, 100%. I think we'll leave the episode there because like what I want to do is get on an interview with you in a year and we just, have a whole look of what happened, where are the agents, what are they using, and did the human just become a RWA? So that would be a very,
Yeah,
very fun
yeah, let's do it.
next episode. Fantastic. Well, I think, I mean, wow, I just like have a whole set of notes and stuff that now I want to go study again. But yeah, that was a very, very insightful conversation, Florian. Thank you so much. Do you have a final word, a finance advice maybe for the community?
I think it's the message I had in the middle of the episode about doing your own research and using AI to do the research. I think that's really what we all gotta do. Like, use the tools that are out there. It's such like there's so much information you can collect, and you can ask AI to present it to you however you feel most comfortable, to read it. And so there's really no excuses for people not to look into things, not to research things, because it's so easy and it's so efficient. So yeah, use the tools, educate yourself, and find out what is behind whatever you're being presented. Because you will yeah get much further in life, I would say, with that approach.
I love it. I just want to make sure that AI.
It can be both ways, yeah, of course. It also makes us, you can say it makes us lazy, but at the same time, also it makes us more efficient and actually more productive. So it always depends on how you use it.
It's like
And
every technology.
yeah, exactly.
100%. Well, thank you so much, Florian. So that's it for today's episode of Solana Smoke. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on another episode. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.